Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anita Anand with the Midday News. The headlines. Home Minister Amit Shah holds a meeting with Chief Ministers of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal and Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to review preparations in view of Cyclone Yas. Cyclone Yas likely to make landfall between Paradip and Sagar Island on Wednesday morning. Health Minister Harshvardhan says new daily COVID cases reported in the country are less than 3 lakh per day for the 8th consecutive day. More than 19 crore 60 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to beneficiaries in the country till now. Over 21 crore 80 lakh vaccine doses given to states and union territories by the centre so far. National recovery rate now stands at 88.3%. Over 3,02,000 people recover from COVID-19 infection in last 24 hours. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York today on a 5-day visit to the United States. First session of 15th Kerala Assembly begins with the swearing-in of newly elected members. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 30th of this month. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, take all precautions, and all those above 45 years who have taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated with the second dose at the scheduled time. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a meeting via video conference today with the Chief Ministers of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal and the Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to review preparations in view of Cyclone Yas. He directed senior officers to work in close coordination with states to ensure safe evacuation of people from high-risk areas. He also instructed all concerned departments to ensure timely evacuation of those involved in offshore activities. Mr. Shah stressed on the need to ensure that the time duration of outages of power supply and communication network are minimum and are restored swiftly. Details from our correspondent.
Home Ministry is keeping a close watch and is in touch with the state governments and union territories and the central agencies concerned to tackle the situation arising out of Cyclone Yas. Mr. Shah also asked officials to ensure proper coordination and planning with state governments to ensure no disruptions in COVID treatment and vaccinations in the hospitals. He also directed state governments to take extra caution towards the oxygen plants situated in these states, which are supplying medical oxygen to several parts in the country. MHA has already released the first installment of State Disaster Response Fund in advance to all the states. National Disaster Response Force has committed 99 teams which are equipped with boats, tree cutters, telecom equipments and other equipments to handle the situation in these 5 states and union territories. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
The cyclonic storm Yas is very likely to move slowly north-northwestwards, intensify further into a severe cyclonic storm during the next 12 hours and into a very severe cyclonic storm during the subsequent 24 hours. It would continue to intensify further and reach northwest Bay of Bengal near North Odisha and West Bengal coasts by early morning on Wednesday. It is very likely to cross North Odisha, West Bengal coast between Paradip and Sagar Islands around Wednesday noon as a very severe cyclonic storm. Today, the cyclonic storm over East Central Bay of Bengal moved northwestwards with a speed of 2 km per hour during the past 6 hours and lay centered over East Central Bay of Bengal this morning. It lay about 620 kilometers north-northwest of Port Blair, 530 kilometers south-southeast of Paradip, 630 kilometers south-southeast of Balesar and 620 kilometers south-southeast of Digha.
According to the Indian Meteorological Department, the deep depression over East Central Bay of Bengal has intensified into cyclonic storm Yas. It will further intensify into a severe cyclonic storm during the next 24 hours and into a very severe cyclonic storm in the subsequent 24 hours. As per the forecast, the cyclone continues to move north-northwestwards with a probability of striking the eastern coast between Paradip in Odisha and Sagar Islands in West Bengal on Wednesday. The Odisha government is taking measures to evacuate people from the vulnerable areas of the North Odisha districts like Baleshwar, Bhadrak, Jagatsinghpur and Kendrapada. Following the centre's guidelines during the cyclone situation, the Andhra Pradesh government has taken up several initiatives regarding procurement of liquid medical oxygen. The state is largely dependent on supplies from steel plants located in eastern India in Angul, Kalinganagar and Rourkela. Hence, any disruption of the supply from these places can cause severe distress in Andhra Pradesh. In order to mitigate the risk of any such disruption, Government of Andhra Pradesh has taken the initiative to increase the supplies from Orissa in the last 2 days using oxygen express trains in order to maintain buffer stocks in all the districts. Almost 100 metric tons of LMO has been sourced from Rourkela, Odisha, and a further 100 metric tons is also expected. More from our correspondent.
Squally wind speed reaching 40 to 50 kmph, gusting to 60 kmph, likely along and off Andhra Pradesh coast today, and the situation will continue with the same intensity tomorrow as well. Gale wind speed reaching 65 to 75, gusting to 85 kmph, very likely to prevail over major parts of Central Bay of Bengal from 24th forenoon for subsequent 12 hours and would increase gradually thereafter. On the other hand, the Srikakulam District Administration has arranged control rooms in Echarla, Ranasthalam, Srikakulam, Polaki and Gara of seabed areas. At least 17 cyclone rehabilitation centers have been arranged to tackle the situation. Dr. G. Kondalrao, AIR News, Vijayawada.
In West Bengal, light to moderate rainfall has been predicted today in the coastal districts of East Mednipur, North and South 24 Parganas, along with Kolkata, Howrah and Hooghly, due to the impact of cyclone Yas. The government of West Bengal has been making all necessary arrangements in view of Yas. A control room has been set up in the annex building of the State Secretariat, from where the Chief Minister will be monitoring the overall situation. Helpline numbers have also been made functional by separate departments, including State Disaster Management and State Health Department. In the coastal areas, repairing work of river and sea banks is being done on a war footing. The district administration is gearing up to evacuate lakhs of people and place them in flood shelters and multi-purpose cyclone shelters, maintaining COVID protocol. The Meteorological Department of Bangladesh has asked the maritime ports of Chattogram, Cox's Bazar, Mongla and Paira to hoist the distant warning signal 2 in view of the deep depression over East Central Bay and adjoining areas to north-northwestwards, intensifying into a cyclonic storm named Yas. It advised all fishing boats and trawlers over North Bay and Deep Sea to remain close to the coast and not venture deep into the sea. The government of Bangladesh is preparing to face the cyclone when it is likely to hit the coast by May the 26th, inaugurating and laying the foundation stone of 225 cyclone and flood shelter centers. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said on Sunday that the government has already started taking precautionary measures to minimize the damage of the cyclone.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reached New York today on a 5-day visit to the United States. In New York, he is expected to meet UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. In Washington, D.C., the External Affairs Minister will hold discussions with his U.S. counterpart, Antony Blinken. He will also meet cabinet members and senior officials of Biden administration dealing with the bilateral relationship. Dr. Jaishankar will have 2 interactions with the business forums on economic and COVID-related cooperation between India and the U.S.
In Kerala, the first session of the 15th State Assembly has begun. The swearing-in of the newly elected members took place before the pro-tem Speaker P.T.A. Rahim. The election for the post of Speaker will be held tomorrow. M.B. Rajesh is the LDF's nominee and P.C. Vishnunath is UDF's nominee for the Speaker's post. Governor Arif Muhammad Khan will make the policy address of the second Pinarayi Vijayan government on May the 28th. Discussion on the motion of thanks to the Governor's address will be held on the following 3 days. Finance Minister K.N. Balagopal will present the revised budget and the vote on account on June the 4th. The session will end on June the 14th.
You're listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Home Minister Amit Shah holds a meeting with the Chief Ministers of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal and Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to review preparations in view of Cyclone Yas. Cyclone Yas likely to make landfall between Paradeep and Saga Islands on Wednesday morning. Health Minister Harshvardhan says new daily COVID cases reported in the country are less than 3 lakh per day for the 8th consecutive day. More than 19 crore 60 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to the beneficiaries in the country till now. Over 21 crore 80 lakh vaccine doses given to the states and union territories by the centre so far. National recovery rate now stands at 88.3%. Over 3,02,000 people recover from COVID-19 infection in last 24 hours. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York today on a 5-day visit to the United States. First session of 15th Kerala Assembly begins with the swearing-in of newly elected members. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on 30th of this month. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे. Welcome back to the Midday News. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan is chairing the 27th Group of Ministers GOM meeting on COVID-19. The minister is reviewing the steps taken for management of COVID-19 as well as the overall situation in the country. Dr. Harshvardhan in his opening address informed that so far 5,424 cases of mucormycosis have been reported in 18 states and union territories. He said out of the total, 4,556 patients had a history of COVID-19 infection and 55% of the patients had diabetes. The minister said for the last 11 days the number of recoveries in the country has outnumbered the new daily cases, highlighting the gradual improvement in the positivity rate. Dr. Harshvardhan said new daily COVID cases reported in the country have been less than 3 lakh per day for the 8th consecutive day today. Several other union ministers, Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul and DG ICMR Dr. Balram Bhargav are participating in the meet. More than 19 crore 60 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to beneficiaries in the country till now. The Health Ministry said the country has reported 2,22,000 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 2 crore 67 lakh. In the last 24 hours, over 3,02,000 people recovered from COVID-19 infection. Till now, over 2 crore 37 lakh 28,000 people have recovered. The recovery rate now stands at 88.3%. 4,454 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. The death toll due to coronavirus pandemic has reached 3,03,720. There are over 27 lakh active cases in the country. The centre has provided over 21 crore 80 lakh vaccine doses to the states and union territories so far. This has been given both through the free of cost category and through the direct trade procurement category. Of this, the total consumption, including wastages, is over 20 crore doses. More than 1.8 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories. The Health Ministry said over 48 lakh vaccine doses are in the pipeline and will be sent to the states and union territories within the next 3 days. As part of the nationwide vaccination drive, the central government has been supporting the states and union territories by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. In addition, it has also been facilitating direct procurement of vaccines by the states and union territories. The centre has decided to provide the facility of on-site registration and facilitate cohort registration on CoWIN digital platform for people in the age group of 18 to 44 years. This facility will only be available at government COVID vaccination centres, CVCs. It is not available for private CVCs and they will have to publish their vaccination schedules accordingly, exclusively with slots for online appointments.
Overcoming all hurdles and finding new solutions, the Indian Railways is continuing its journey of bringing relief by delivering liquid medical oxygen LMO to various states across the country. Oxygen Express today crossed 15,000 metric ton mark in delivering oxygen relief to the nation. The first Oxygen Express to Assam with 80 metric tons of oxygen relief reached today. Delivery of liquid medical oxygen LMO to Karnataka crossed 1,000 metric tons. 234 oxygen expresses with 936 tankers completed their journey. Oxygen expresses reached out to 14 states, namely Uttarakhand, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Telangana, Punjab, Kerala, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Assam. In Assam, a total of 3,563 COVID cases were reported in the state during the last 24 hours. 72 persons succumbed to COVID-19 yesterday. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma asked all deputy commissioners to put in place a community surveillance system to avert the pandemic from spreading to rural areas. Meanwhile, various civil society organizations are extending support to COVID patients in the state. More from our correspondent.
The Khalsa Center Northeast is providing free oxygen langer in Guwahati city. The organization is providing oxygen concentrators to the needy people for a maximum of 10 days. The Guwahati-based organization Care for You is distributing free meals to needy people in the city. Another group of youths under the banner of For You and For Me is providing meals to ambulance drivers, patients and their attendants at Guwahati Medical College. Bithika Goswami, a graduate student, has prepared a sign language video for Divyangs with the help of District Information and Public Relations Officer Golaghat. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
In Karnataka, due to a disruption in the production of oxygen in the Bellary plant, all the district deputy commissioners have been advised to be careful in the utilization of oxygen till Wednesday. The state produces 850 metric tons of oxygen every day. Due to the problem in the Bellary plant, the production has come down by 220 metric tons. Senior IAS officer who is in charge for the oxygen supply, Munish Maudgil, has assured that the supply will stabilize by Wednesday morning. More from our correspondent.
Munish Maudgil has asked all government officials and hospitals to stay prepared for 20% reduction in oxygen supply today and tomorrow. He has said that there is nothing to panic as every district has a buffer stock of oxygen to handle any emergency. The camp officers deputed in each of the oxygen production unit have been asked to watch oxygen movement. The full-time oxygen nodal officers in districts have been asked to track every hospital for their oxygen needs. He has said that oxygen helplines are working at each district to manage oxygen supply. IT system-based full oxygen management system will be introduced to put whole oxygen management supplies and requirements on live mode. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In Madhya Pradesh, the number of active cases of COVID-19 have come down. There were only 23 districts where not a single death was reported yesterday. More from our correspondent.
According to official medical bulletin, more than 100 new cases were reported in just 5 of 52 districts. In view of decrease in infection, the unlocking process has started in Madhya Pradesh from today. Markets are open with some restrictions in 5 districts including Khandwa, Burhanpur and Jhabua. People are shopping following the COVID rules. Rashid Ahmed Khan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has said that the public sector undertakings under the Petroleum Ministry are establishing captive pressure swing absorption PSA oxygen generation plants in about 7 districts of Odisha. The centre has approved PSA plants in 8 other districts of the state from out of their PM CARES fund. These plants will be installed by the DRDO. Earlier, Union Minister Mr. Pradhan and Union Minister Pratap Chandra Sarangi had sought the intervention of the Union government to help the state establish oxygen generation plants in each district. More from our correspondent.
Realizing the importance of medical oxygen for the treatment of COVID patients, Chief Minister of Odisha Navin Patnaik has already ordered the stakeholders to ensure seamless generation and supply of oxygen to COVID hospitals both within and outside the state despite the impending cyclone. Meanwhile, in view of the probable cyclone Yas impacting the coastal districts of Odisha, the state government today relaxed the weekdays windows for people to procure essential items from the existing 4 hours to 6 hours during the ongoing lockdown. This will only be applicable for today and tomorrow, that too only in the 10 coastal districts likely to be impacted by the cyclone. On the other hand, the cumulative COVID-19 caseload of the state has overshot the 7 lakh mark today with the fresh discovery of about 11,000 new cases. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has announced extension of lockdown in Delhi till 5 a.m. of May the 31st. He said the situation against coronavirus is getting better with the efforts of Delhiites and all should remain disciplined in this way. Mr. Kejriwal said there is no oxygen crisis in Delhi now. The Rajasthan government has decided to extend lockdown by another 15 days. The Home Department has issued a new guideline extending the lockdown till the 8th of next month. Under the 3-tier lockdown, social behavior at the family, ward, village, city and state levels is expected to bring changes in accordance with the COVID protocol. The Puducherry Lieutenant Governor Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan said that the current lockdown is extended till May the 31st due to the rise in the number of COVID cases. More from our correspondent.
All restrictions imposed from May 10th would continue and only essential services such as vegetables, milk would be available till 12 noon every day. The number of persons inoculated stood at 2,43,148, including 34,234 healthcare workers, 21,044 frontline personnel and 1,37,400 general public. The new infections continued to decline for the last 3 days. The case fatality rate is 1.43% and the recovery rate has improved marginally to 82.25%. Chandramohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
In Uttarakhand, COVID curfew has been extended till the 1st of June. Cabinet Minister and spokesperson Mr. Subodh Unial said in Dehradun that shops selling essential items like milk, vegetables, fruits, fish and meat shops, including PDS shops, will now open from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. daily.
In Maharashtra, the strict restrictions imposed in Nashik district during the last 12 days have been eased from today. As a result, the Agriculture Produce Market Committees, APMCs in Nashik and neighbouring Lasalgaon were opened for the traders. Farmers in large numbers have visited the APMCs with their agricultural produce. However, the small-time vendors were restrained from entering these APMCs. A report from our Mumbai correspondent.
The APMCs across Nashik district were shut after strict restrictions were clamped on 12th of this month to contain the spread of COVID-19. However, with the ease of restrictions coming into place from today, farmers from various parts have been visiting the APMCs to sell their produce. The farmers are given access into the APMCs after checking their identity cards and COVID test reports. The scenes were no different in Lasalgaon APMC, one of the biggest onion market in the country. According to the district authorities, only 500 vehicles transporting onion have been given access into the APMC. With limited access to vehicles, a long queue of more than 2 kilometers was witnessed outside the Lasalgaon APMC. With Sanjay Pathak from Nasik, this is Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Covaxin manufacturer Bharat Biotech today started trials for the booster dose of the vaccine at AIIMS, Delhi and Patna. It will be conducted in phase 2 clinical trial participants. The booster dose will be given to the participants after 6 months when they had received their second dose during the trial. Last month, the Drug Controller General of India had given permission to Bharat Biotech to conduct clinical trials for a third booster dose of Covaxin.
All India Radio News has been at the forefront in raising awareness on COVID-19 among the citizens since the first coronavirus case was reported in the country. In keeping with its role as the public service broadcaster, the News Services Division of All India Radio started a special public outreach program, Corona Jagrukta series, in March last year. During its 400th special episode yesterday, Professor Medicine, Lady Hardinge Medical College, Delhi, Dr. Madhuri Yadav said All India Radio has been playing an important role in informing the masses about COVID-19 and vaccination, as well as dispelling misinformation.
लोगों के मन में भ्रांतियां होती हैं, 50 तरह की बात होती हैं, सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म आ गए हैं जिसमें कई तरह की बातें होती हैं, वैक्सीन ली जाए कि न ली जाए, कौन सी बढ़िया, कितनी डोज है, कौन सी कब लगवाएं। ये सब छोटी छोटी बातों के लिए आप लोगों ने जो ये पहल करी, प्रिवेंशन के बारे में जो पहल करी, मास्क के बारे में बताया, 2 गज दूरी के बारे में बताया, और बताया ही नहीं, इसको इम्फेसाइज किया कि नहीं भाई ऐसा होना चाहिए। लोगों की छोटी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करी, कौन घर में रहेगा, बच्चे रहेंगे, बाहर जाएंगे, कब जाएंगे। तो इसको देखा जाए तो आप लोगों ने एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका अदा करी है। ये सिर्फ कहने वाली बात नहीं है, ये महसूस करने वाली बात भी है।
Dr. Madhur also said though the threat posed by COVID-19 has declined for the time being, it is still necessary to follow the protocol announced by the government.
खतरा अभी वैसे ही है, वायरस लगता है थोड़ा सा पीछे आता है, लेकिन अभी भी हम सब के लिए खतरा वैसे ही मौजूद है। अगर आज लॉकडाउन हटता है तो लोग बिल्कुल बेतहाशा होकर बाहर निकलेंगे और वो सारी परिस्थिति वही हो जाएंगी जो पहले थी। तो मैं तो यही कहना चाहूंगा कि अभी ठीक है, कंट्रोल में आया है, लेकिन हमको अपनी अच्छी आदतों को आगे भी उसी तरीके से जारी रखना है। 2 गज की दूरी, मास्क लगाना, भीड़ भाड़ वाले इलाके में नहीं जाना, और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि बिना काम के घर से बाहर नहीं निकलना।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on 30th of this month. It will be the 77th episode of the monthly radio program. People can share their views in the Namo app or MyGov open forum. They can also dial the toll-free number 1800117800 and record their message for the Prime Minister in either Hindi or English. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in the SMS to directly give their suggestions to the Prime Minister. Siddhavina exponent Siddharth Banerjee says that our immune system is impacted not just by physical activities but also by mental activities. He says artists should find newer platforms to showcase their talents.
इस बात को ध्यान हमेशा रखना चाहिए कि इम्यून सिस्टम जो है वो सिर्फ शारीरिक गतिविधियों से ही नहीं, वो मानसिक गतिविधियों से भी प्रभावित होती है। इसलिए मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हमें सकारात्मक सोच, विश्वास और साथ ही साथ हमारी जो भारतीय संस्कृति और परंपरा से जुड़ी हुई चीजें हैं, चाहे वो ध्यान हो, योग हो, संगीत हो, इन सारी विधाओं का हमें सहारा लेके इस कठिन परिस्थिति को पार करना है। साथ ही साथ हमें एक दूसरे का भी साथ देना है, चाहे वो संगीत का क्षेत्र हो, चाहे वो कोई भी दूसरा क्षेत्र हो, और हमें नए संसाधनों की तरफ, नए अवसरों का भी हमें निर्माण खुद ही करना पड़ेगा, एक दूसरे का साथ देते हुए। इस कड़ी में जैसे आज ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म एक बहुत ही बड़ी भूमिका निभा रही है, चाहे वो संगीत का जगत हो, चाहे वो कोई भी विधा हो।
Now let us take a look at the weather report and forecast for today. The national capital Delhi is witnessing strong surface winds during daytime. Maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees Celsius. Minimum was 21 degrees. Mumbai is facing a partly cloudy sky. Maximum temperature will be 35 degrees, rising from a lower level of 27 degrees. Chennai is witnessing a partly cloudy sky. Upper limit of temperature will be 34 degrees. Lower limit was 28. Srinagar is facing a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Temperature will hover between 9 and 22 degrees. Jammu is having a mainly clear sky. Temperature will rise from a minimum of 19 degrees to a maximum of around 36. Leh is seeing a partly cloudy sky. Upper limit of temperature will be around 18, rising from a minimum of 4 degrees. Gilgit is having a generally cloudy sky. Temperature will move from a minimum of 11 to a maximum of 28. In Muzaffarabad, the sky is sunny. The temperature will increase from a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 24 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Home Minister Amit Shah holds a meeting with Chief Ministers of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal and Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to review preparations in view of Cyclone Yas. Cyclone Yas likely to make a landfall between Paradeep and Sagar Islands on Wednesday morning. Health Minister Harshvardhan says new daily COVID cases reported in the country less than 3 lakh per day for 8th consecutive day. More than 19 crore 60 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to beneficiaries in the country till now. Over 21 crore 80 lakh vaccine doses given to states and union territories by the centre so far. National recovery rate now stands at 88.3%. Over 302,000 people recover from COVID-19 infection in last 24 hours. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York today on a 5-day visit to the United States. First session of 15th Kerala Assembly begins with swearing in of newly elected members. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 30th of this month. And with that, we end the midday news.